We'll call to order the June meeting of the Westfield Redevelopment Commission. I guess, Janelle, are you going to take roll here, or David, you going to take roll for us?
I will.
For a quorum.
Joe Plankus.
Here?
John Dart.
Here.
Brian Michael.
Here.
Larry Kemper.
Here.
Brian Pulowski.
Here.
We have a quorum. Thank you. Next step on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. Please rise. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of minutes from our May 20th, 2024 meeting. Are there any questions or comments on the minutes? Hearing none, I'm open for a motion for approval.
Making a motion to approve the minutes.
Okay,
Yes, second.
Motion by Brian Michael, second by John Dart. All in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Joe Plankus.
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is the approval of the RDC Executive Session Memorandum. Are there any questions or comments on the memorandum? Okay, hearing none, open for a motion for approval of the memorandum.
Motion to approve the RDC Executive Session Memorandum.
Okay, I have a second.
Second.
Second from Larry. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankus.
Aye.
John Dart.
Aye.
Brian Michael.
Aye.
Larry Kemper.
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you. Next item on the agenda, financial matters, Clerk Treasurer's report.
Good evening, Commissioners. I am here just virtually tonight. So before you, you have your total balances as of the end of May for all your accounts combined plus interest. You have $6,958,000, and $815. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer those for you.
Okay, the one question I have is can we get more detail on a month-to-month basis as to what the changes are in the financials? In other words, what was paid out where? Now, I know there's changes in the balances, but it doesn't really give us a reason as to what was paid out and for what.
Yeah, we can try to work on a report that would maybe somehow combine your investment balances, the fund balances, plus the claims, if you like. Janelle did, Director Fairman did give me a very nice layout of how that's been done someplace else. So that'd be something I'm definitely willing to work on for you.
Great. If you can work with Janelle on that, that'd be wonderful.
Sure.
Okay, appreciate that. Okay, any other questions on the financials from the Clerk Treasurer, from the Commission members? Is this something we need approval on, Janelle? I don't think. That's really just
No, I don't think we need
information
to
for
approve.
us. Yep. Okay. Anything else you want to add, Marla?
Not really. I think that your detail that you're looking for is there in the claims, but I agree it could be laid out a little bit better for you.
Okay.
That will give you more details, how that money is spent from month to month. So like I said, I'm happy to work that out. It may just take me a little while, but
Sure.
I'll get on it.
That's fine. Appreciate that very much.
You bet.
I do have one question as I look through here, I think for clarification, and I know I did see your voicemail back, Janelle. I'm still not sure I understand. On Huntington Bank, which
So
is
we're
the
moving on to
last
claims.
document on the claims, there's a note there, it says represents unpaid debt service for a period of 8 years. Is that something we didn't pay? I guess I'm a little confused by the note.
So Marla, I will try to answer this to the best of my ability. If you have any additional information you can provide, that would be great. I'm trying to interpret what John Rogers explained to me this afternoon on this. The Metro FiberNet project is what he explained to be a virtual TIF, which I was not familiar with. I'm hoping that he can explain this more to us at a future meeting, or we can have him follow up outside of the meeting. But as a virtual TIF, so my understanding is that this is a pass-through where Metronet basically pays the amount that they would have paid in taxes, and it helps cover the investment of bringing fiber throughout the city. Adam, I don't know if you know anything about virtual TIFs and how they work that would further explain why we would have unpaid amounts.
I've not heard that. I don't know. Again, Bruce and I are over there trading glances. To me, it almost sounds like a credit enhancement on a pilot agreement or something like that, but.
All right, we're going to let Bruce Donaldson
Yeah.
take a stab at this.
Hi, good evening, Bruce Donaldson. Metronet's done a bunch of these around the state. They call them spider TIFs. And so they have, all their lines are really personal property. So they get taxed as personal property. And you can designate, I think we talked about this at our little workshop, that you can designate taxpayers to capture their personal property as TIF. And so that's probably what was done here. And then Metronet basically just pays their personal property taxes like they always would. They get allocated to the Redevelopment Commission, and it gets paid right back to Metronet in the form of debt service on this bond that they hold, which really just serves to lower their operating costs by, getting a rebate essentially on that property tax. I'm not sure why it would say the 8-year part, because normally that would just happen on an annual basis.
I think the note's a little confusing.
Right, yeah, the way the note reads is that there are just unpaid amounts that continue to accrue interest. So I think this is probably just telling us what that amount is that's continuing to
I think
be.
clarification for the next meeting would be good. Thank you. Okay, any other questions on claims?
If I could add something to that, we are not paying the $515,000 or the $606,000 that are listed here. We're just paying the amounts that are listed as the bond interest due and principal due. So what we're actually approving in claims is not this bottom line number.
Okay. Thank you for the clarification, Janelle. Okay, any other questions or comments on claims? Hearing none, do I have a motion for approval?
Motion to approve the claims?
Okay, from John Dart, second.
Second.
Second, Brian Michael, thank you. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Blankus,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0, thank you. Next item up is Grant Park agreements. Matt Trinian.
Good evening, Commission members. Again, Matt Trinian on behalf of Grant Park. Before you this evening are 25 agreements, 13 standard use agreements, 10 addendums, 1 sponsorship agreement, and 1 specifically called out for training camp agreement that I wanted to bring to your attention for ratification. I had not received any initial questions, but happy to answer any that you may have.
Any questions for Matt?
I sent you that message this morning about the LST agreement, so I had an opportunity to look at that. A couple of things. The agreement with the Colts goes through 2028 or 2027?
It's a 10-year agreement. So it started in 18. We're extending it 1 year because of COVID, so it'll run through 28.
Okay, but this agreement with LST is for 3 years?
Correct.
So what's the thinking behind not extending it all the way through the Colts agreement? Because my assumption is we're going to need bleachers at Grand Park.
That's a great question. Without getting into too much detail, there are some conversations going around about putting some permanent structures on site that would eliminate the need to invest into this annual expense. Pretty large conversation right now that would have a greater impact for the future. But this allows us to lock in pricing for the 3 years without clauses after each year, which is a benefit for us because, to your point, we have to have the bleachers. But that's why we didn't go for a longer agreement.
Okay, so assumption is that if you're looking at maybe some permanent structures, you'd probably want a longer agreement with the Colts past 2028.
That's a great assumption.
Go for it.
And obviously, the prices have increased each year. on these bleachers? Just labor cost or insurance, or what's the reasoning behind the increased cost each year?
Yeah, primarily in labor. The other thing to note that this agreement doesn't call out, but through our agreement with the Colts, is that half of this cost is borne by the Colts. So while it is written to us, they pay for half of it as well. So
Are they, just curious, are they in the negotiation on the pricing on this, or is it?
we work collectively together
Yeah.
on pricing on this, yes. And for what it's worth, we've bid this out to other groups, and this is the best rate that we had received to date.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, good question, John. Okay, anything else for Matthew? If not, we'll take a opening here for a motion for approval.
I motion to approve.
Okay, motion by Larry, second by Brian. Pulaski, all in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Blankus,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Tomomichael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Matthew, if you would, stick around because we'll get to Hamilton County Tourism. I'd like to have you here for that.
Absolutely, I'll
in case
be
there's any
here.
questions.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Okay, Executive Director report, Janelle.
Thank you, Mr. President. So today, I wanted to update you on a couple of planning efforts that we're making and a grant that was awarded. I'll start with the grant. So recently, as you all know, IEDC has awarded Ready 2.0 grants to various projects around the state. We went through a lengthy process with CERTA to qualify at a regional level for $45 million. And then those of us that are part of CERTA then competed against one another after competing with one another to get our piece of the pie there, if you will. And the Park and Poplar project that we are in the process of acquiring land for, which will include a public parking garage, hotel, mixed use with office, residential, and some retail, which will also include a future plaza and streetscape improvement to Park Street, was awarded a $4 million grant. And we're hopeful that that $4 million will help us purchase some additional parking that's required for the Park Street restaurants, and then also help us with improvements that we have in the area to the plaza and streetscape so that we can create a great environment from Grand Junction all the way through that development. So it was a really exciting opportunity and should help us meet our goals for that project.
Good news, thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Also, we've been talking quite a bit about future planning. I have been working with the Community Development Department over the last couple of months in evaluating proposals for a comprehensive plan for the city, and their department has really helped hone in on what our selected team will be, and they'll be presenting a proposal to BPW either later this month or early next month for a contract to be awarded. So we should be getting started on that comp plan process, I would hope here in July or August at the latest. And that'll be about an 18-month process that will focus on an update to the comp plan over the entire city. And that will include an updated infrastructure plan and an updated economic impact study. We're also working on some processes with Citizens and Duke to plan for their infrastructure improvements around the city so that those can be implemented into the thoroughfare and infrastructure plan at the same time. On a more focused effort, downtown planning, as you know, we had the original MKSK plan for the southwest quadrant of downtown, with the center of downtown being identified as Union Street and State Road 32. Because our department is working on a lot of other master plans in the area, and we really need to stay focused on delivering those, particularly Grand Park, which we'll talk about here later in the meeting. The Community Development Department is working through the process of requesting proposals for the planning of the other 3 downtown quadrants. We'll all be working in conjunction with one another to help develop a walkable downtown. And thankfully, this last month, we had an opportunity for 7 of us to travel out to Boston for a master class at Harvard to learn more about walkability as it relates to urban planning. And so we had representatives from Public Works, Community Development, our department, and the mayor all in attendance. And I think that education and experience will really help us come up with a dynamic plan for those downtown quadrants. And then lastly, this is more directly related to the Economic Development Department rather than redevelopment, but I hope that it will help all of us do our work as well on the redevelopment side. We are working with Sikich, which is an IT consulting group, to help implement a CRM process for our department. So we'll be able to track our leads and our process from discovery of a lead all the way through implementation of a project in a more organized fashion, and be able to track data over time. So this is a great effort that I would say primarily is being led by Claire Jelinas in our department. She's really bringing a lot of expertise with her past experience working with another CRM. And we just kicked it off this week and looking for some great opportunities to streamline in the future.
Who's the firm,
We're working with Sikich.
which is a software company?
They're
CRM?
they're a reseller. It's a Microsoft Dynamics EDO product.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Focused on, so the CRM is focused specifically on this industry?
Yes, it's an add-on that's focused specific on the economic development organizations.
Okay.
Yep. So it'll be a great starting point for us, and then we can customize it with them over the next few months.
Got it.
Okay,
And
great.
that's what I've got for you today.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Janelle.
Welcome.
Old business, we have none, so we'll go right to new business, and we'll talk about RDC budget, so I think we'll go back to Janelle.
Yeah, absolutely. So this budget was put together recently by John Rogers in my office. Unfortunately, he's not able to attend here tonight, but I told him I would present this as an introduction, and our hope is that we'll have some opportunity to review some feedback on this over the next month and bring this back for approval in July. We have this broken out by the various TIF areas within the city, and I have received one request to provide some commentary, particularly when we have some changes, like you see here in the East Side TIF, where our 2013 actual, I'm gonna increase this a bit. So our revenue in, sorry, I'm looking at the wrong thing. It's the expenses columns I'm looking for. So our expenses, particularly in East Side, was about 1.7 million in 2023, and it's only going to be 870,000 here in 2024. And it's because we've had some reallocation of debt payments. So we'll provide some footnotes that better explain that information, and then also talk a little bit more about what we have in mind, particularly in land purchases here for the rest of 2024. I do want to identify that this is the 2024 budget. It won't be long before we start presenting the 2025 budget for approval. That is due in December, but this had not been approved in December of 2023, so we're trying to get this at least documented so that we know what our plan has been, although it's been fluid in 2024, before we actually move on to 2025.
Are there state guidelines as to when a budget needs to be approved? I mean,
Starting in 2024, there is a statutory requirement to submit a budget by December 1st of each year, but that is, again, just beginning this year. So this is the first year that there is a requirement for that to be submitted by the Redevelopment Commission to DLGF. So we're working on that, although we don't know what the format is yet, so I'm in conversations with them to understand what that reporting method will be. So again, this will come back next month for
yeah, it'll
approval.
come back next month, and
Yes.
yeah, how can we?
And obviously, we're available if you need to
Yeah,
get together with us as,
Thank you.
without hitting the quorum number, for any discussions and maybe a clearer understanding of each of the particular TIFs.
Yep, I appreciate that, and we will have Bondry providing some input on this as well.
Great, great. Okay, any other questions for Janelle on the budget at this time? Okay, let's move on to the next item, Spec Dempsey contract.
Great, and I'm just going to give a brief overview of what these next 4 action items are, because they all kind of tie together, and then we can come back and approve them individually. But they are all related to the same opportunity, which has been provided by Hamilton County Tourism to continue our study and planning of the Grand Park area. If you'll all remember, Hamilton County Tourism had funded a study by Hunden Group to do an economic impact study of the Grand Park area. And we received that study recently, and I'm working on an executive summary version of it that I will present in July to City Council and to RDC, where we'll talk about the observations and outcomes and recommendations from the report. So that was, again, funded by Hamilton County Tourism, and then Hamilton County Tourism has, based on that outcome, decided to fund us further and help us come up with a Grand Park area master plan, which will encompass the area from the event center all the way south past 186th Street, and including some property that's owned by the Henke Development Group and D&W Farms. So I'm going to bring up this contract and show you on the proposal the outline of the area that's going to be studied. So this is the overall study area. Again, all 4 of these action items will be related to this particular study area. Area A will be the Grand Park Area Master Plan, which will be at a concept level. Our intent is to deliver this and Area B in the next 6 months. And Area A will include, I would say, a high-level concept design that will include walkability components. It'll give us a basic idea of the road infrastructure, block sizes, interconnection between various uses on this site, and will be intended to transform this area from a current parking and field area into a more walkable downtown. We're hoping to incorporate a sports technology district into this, probably hotel, other entertainment, family entertainment uses. And we are also in conversations with the landowner because he is obviously a key stakeholder in the development of this area.
Where's the land that person owns?
This area right here.
That whole parcel?
Yeah, this is privately owned. Everything else here is owned by a city entity, whether it be the city or Redevelopment Commission, Redevelopment Authority. And then same with this side here, this is all owned by the city, the entire view that you can see here. Okay. The area here, Area B, which actually will continue all the way, actually it does stop there, but it will continue to all of the undeveloped land here that is owned by Henke Development Group. DW Farms owns this portion. And we will be working with Henke Development Group and the other landowners in this area and some developers to come up with a master plan that will be updated to a PUD level. So our intent is to take the master plan output and then incorporate that into an update to the zoning for this area so that a developer could come in and they could develop the individual pieces and parts of this development plan here in the near future. So this will be more detailed. We will be down to specific right-of-way lines. It will be designed down to tree placement, and it'll be a very walkable community. We're hoping to have some great amenities here, recreational, entertainment, and hopefully living and working spaces. So really, really exciting opportunity. So specifically to our first of these 4 action items, Spec Dempsey is an urban planning team. They have a subconsultant, Perkins & Will. Perkins & Will is a national leader in architecture, specifically on sports entertainment venues. They obviously, as a national architect, have a lot of other areas of expertise as well, but specifically they're brought into this team because they have an expertise in sports entertainment. So they'll be able to help us right-size the different parcels within the master plan, make sure that we're planning for all of the correct parking needs, correct venue sizes, and that they're really bringing their expertise into the interoperability of those entertainment venues with the other uses on the development. So the project, again, will be led by Spec Dempsey. Perkins & Will be supporting them and providing the project management. The value of this proposal is $400,000, including their expenses for travel. This particular study and the next one that I'm about to be presenting are both going to be covered this one will be covered wholly by a grant from Hamilton County Tourism to cover the entire $400,000, including travel expenses. And in return, Hamilton County Tourism has asked to have a seat at the table and help influence our design. So we'd be asking for an approval to move on with this master planning process with Spec Dempsey.
Do we want to vote on this one then first, Janelle, and then we go on to the others?
Yeah. Yes,
Okay.
please.
So any questions for Janelle on the Spec Dempsey contract? Hearing none, open for a motion for approval.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion from Brian Pawlowski, second.
Second.
Second from Larry. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Next item is the Hunden contract.
Thank you. All right, so this is the second of the design advisory contracts specific to the Grand Park Area Master Plan. This is for Hunden Companies, or Hunden Strategies. They did provide the economic impact study for the Grand Park area, which is a very lengthy report with a lot of data. They've done quite a bit of analysis over the last really year for Hamilton County and for Grand Park specifically. And they have some concepts that they've proposed as part of that original study. And this $48,000 proposal, not inclusive of expenses, they do have a not to exceed amount of $7,500 for expenses. This would be to look more in depth for individual uses that we plan to incorporate into the Grand Park area. This would include developments within the master plan that we're talking about, and could also include opportunities for them to advise on other entertainment uses within their original study area. This is a second contract that would be covered expenses by Hamilton County Tourism, exclusive of their travel. So we will have a grant we'll be reviewing here in a moment for the $48,000 of professional services fees. There is a second task here, which is a little bit less defined. We don't have any specific projects that we're anticipating reviewing here, but it does give us an opportunity if we have other entertainment uses that are presented, which hadn't been considered during their original original study, that they can work on these projects for us at an hourly rate. So that will be forthcoming if an opportunity arises. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Okay. Any questions for Janelle on the Hunden contract? If not, open for motion for approval.
Make a motion to approve.
Brian Michael has a motion. Second.
I'll second.
Brian Pawlowski, second. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you very much. Next item is Resolution 15-2024.
Thank you, Mr. President. This resolution is specific to identifying and establishing existing funds for the Redevelopment Commission. And I have Bruce Donaldson here from Barnes & Thornburg, who's going to introduce this resolution. It was prepared by Brad Bingham from Barnes & Thornburg, but Bruce is going to talk a little bit more about the basis of the resolution. Let me know if you need me to scroll.
Thank you. Bruce Donaldson again. Yeah, so the redevelopment statute identifies a few actual statutory funds. Of course, you have your allocation funds that hold the TIF, and then it also identifies this capital fund and this general redevelopment fund that are statutorily based. And to help the clerk treasurer with accounting for all your funds, we thought it would be important to have the commission formally adopt a resolution basically directing her to establish these funds on the city's books. The capital fund is designed to receive bond proceeds if you issue straight redevelopment district bonds, as well as grant proceeds from really any source. And then you've got the general fund, which would be funded if the city council, it has the statutory authority to just basically provide operating funds for the redevelopment commission. So this is really kind of a housekeeping type thing, but I know Janelle in particular has been working a lot with Marla to get some of these fund and accounting things put on the books, and I think that's what this is really designed to do.
Okay. Any questions for Mr. Donaldson from the commission members? Any questions for Janelle? If not, we're open for a motion for approval.
Motion to approve?
Motion by Larry. Do I have a second?
I'd like to second Resolution 15-2024.
Second by John Dart. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye.
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, thank you very much. Motion passes 5-0. Next item on the agenda is the Hamilton County Tourism Grant Letter.
Thank you, Mr. President. This letter is from Hamilton County Tourism outlining the purpose and expectations related to grants that have been funded by Hamilton County Tourism already, and the grant that we are voting here to accept. Just a little bit of history here. Hamilton County Tourism in 2023 had provided some grants already to Grand Park improvements. So there was a $400,000 grant for lighting and a $600,000 grant for flooring. So I was not even aware that this grant existed, so I was glad to see the history listed here. They have obviously shown a lot of support of Grand Park and the funding of it and planning for its future. In 2024, they also contracted directly with Hunden Partners, $270,800, and this was for the Grand Park study, the impact analysis that was done earlier this year, which I plan to present next month. And the outcome of that is that they would like to, again, invest in Grand Park and the planning of Grand Park with the $400,000 support of the Spec Dempsey contract and $48,000 towards the Hunden contract. Again, in return, they just want to be sure that they have a seat at the table and they're able to help influence the way the plan is moving forward. We really look forward to this opportunity to have their support once again. So we have a resolution here which outlines the purpose of the grant and recognizes their involvement in this being really fairly minimal. They would just like to have some influence, but they're not asking for any approval of anything associated with the plan. So with your approval, we'd love to accept this money.
Okay. Any questions for Janelle on this particular item? So what you're requesting is a vote for accepting the grant.
I am.
Okay.
Oh, and if I could add one more thing. The grant money would be deposited into the capital fund that we have just approved. So that's also a really exciting advancement here.
Absolutely. Okay, do I have a motion for approval?
Make a motion to approve.
Okay, I'm sorry. Oh, Brian Pulowski was made the motion? I'll second the motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Right, David?
Joe Plankis,
Aye?
John Dart,
Aye.
Brian Michael,
Aye.
Larry Kemper,
Aye.
Brian Pulowski.
Aye.
Okay, motion passes 5-0. Matthew, a question for you. I know that Hamilton County Tourism has obviously been very supportive from day one, maybe even day zero. Is it possible to get, and I think for the administration, for Janelle, and really for the new commission members in particular, is to put together a little summary sheet of all of their contributions from back at the beginning?
Certainly.
And show it by year and what it was for, just as they've indicated in their grant letter. I think that would give us some history all the way back to the beginning. It would be great to have for the records as we move forward with the various administrations in the future.
Absolutely. I'll do my best to pull out all that together. It dates back well before 2008, so
Yep.
a lot of support towards Grand Park. So I'll
Yep.
work to
That'd be great,
pull those
Matthew.
pieces
Thank
together.
you. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, any other items on business?
I have nothing else today.
Okay, anything from commission members? If not, I'm open for a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Ryan Pawlowski. I'll second that motion. All in favor, please signify by saying aye. Voice vote. Aye. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you. It's good. 34 minutes. Yep, signatures don't